The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Successful Living Through Emotional Freedom webinar. Free webinar designed to help you get the most out of life and be awesome. You already are awesome, but we can definitely grow and evolve to be even more awesome. Tonight's presentation is on creating emotional and nutritional consciousness. And I have definitely and deliberately stayed away from learning how to eat better, learning how to eat smarter, learning how to be a healthier person. I think we've all heard enough of that cliche kind of statement and information. And whilst my information tonight will cover the nutritional, I guess, and the mindset fundamentals of knowing how or understanding better ways to eat, I'm not going to be covering food specifically. I will do that in the last webinar next week. But what I want to do today is explore other areas of nutritional consciousness to help you create awareness about what's involved when we don't and when we do eat in a way that is healthy for our body. So let's start the presentation. Again, I apologize for those that have been so very patient with watching every webinar and they've seen this several times. But of course, for legal reasons, I do need to put the disclosure there. This information is of a general and educational purpose. It isn't personal. It is definitely all my material produced and marketed by me, Marie Esteban, creating extremely tough leaders. And tough leaders are not about being aggressive, boisterous, or bossy. It's about being authentic, congruent, and being themselves, whether people like it or not. Being honest in yourself is the most powerful way that you can be. Contact details for me. My phone number is there. My email, Facebook, and website, which of course is going through a transformation. So a little bit of information about me. I know that some of you know this, and particularly those on the webinar for every week, but again, just for those that are joining us tonight that may be new and don't know much about me. So I've condensed it, but you can see from that information I am fully qualified to do what I'm doing and definitely licensed and registered. Excellent. So tonight's subject, creating emotional and nutritional consciousness, is around the subject, well, at this point, of emotional eating. Emotional eating, it's when people use food as a way to deal with feelings, to satisfy a need, a craving, what they perceive may be a hunger, but really it's not a hunger. It is being triggered by some negative feeling or negative situation, like they're stressed out or lonely, sad, anxious, or bored. And these feelings can be linked to emotional eating. Even positive events like Valentine's Day, Christmas, New Year, weddings and birthdays and so forth, it's still a form of emotional eating. Don't delude yourself into believing just because you're happy you don't overeat. We have all been guilty of overeating. And, I love social events. I do love being around, good food and good people. But it is very easy to not only eat double or triple the amount of calories in a happy, euphoric state. And, you don't even have to blink an eye these days. The food is covered and laced with oils and salts and preservatives to make it taste better. And that feeds our taste buds. And before you know it, instead of having the one mouthful of whatever, we've ended up eating most of the item, and then we've gone and we've asked ourselves, well, why did we do that? Why did I say I only wanted a mouthful and then I ended up eating more? Now, there is an element of control and discipline involved, and you have to be quite stern about it, and sometimes we're not, and that's okay because we are created perfectly imperfect. But you do have the responsibility to think about what goes into your mouth. And I think this picture is very clear. It's stressed is spelled desserts backwards. And being stressed to some people can cause them to be triggered in such a way where they do overeat or eat things they normally would not. And it's a comfort. We've all got comfort foods, and they vary according to the gender as well as to age and taste buds. So common things that people tend to go for are pizza or ice cream, cookies, uh, chips, even, deep fried chips, homemade, even burgers and chocolate. I guess chocolate is sort of the norm. And I guess the question that we don't ask ourselves, but it is a question, is, well, why don't we take comfort in, carrots and celery sticks? And a lot of research has been put into this, and high fat foods and high sugar foods, they create chemicals in our brain that are actually quite addictive. And these chemicals result in these hormones being released through our body, where we actually train our body to crave salty, greasy, sugary things. So sometimes people say, well, I just can't stop myself. I don't know what it is. And there is actually a scientific truth to that. The trigger, whatever the trigger may be, has released hormones in their body, which has created a need or an obsession, or they think it's a hunger to eat certain foods because that is the comfort for them. And of course, after that, they go through the whole cycle of abuse. So emotional eating really has nothing to do with hunger at all. And here's a question that I would like to ask you now is, how do you respond to a stressful situation or a conflict or a work situation? I know many, many years ago, anxiety or stressful situations used to stress me out. And they still do, because we're all, trying to do the best we can. And sometimes I would go for food, other times more than likely would go for exercise. But whatever it is, the food that I would eat would not be the normal food that I would eat because I'm stressed or anxious or upset or whatever. And even going out with friends, girlfriends in particular, we have this little thing we do being girls, and it's kind of cute at times, but definitely also a bit of a problem if it happens repetitively. And we'll go out and we'll say, hey, you know what? Let's share dessert, which is awesome. I advocate that. But here's the thing. What if every time you go out with the girlfriends, you resort to that? Then is it a treat? And yes, it could be a treat, but is it now a habit? And it is a form of emotional eating. And then it becomes, oh no, you have the cherry. Oh no, you have the strawberry. No, you have the cake. And we go this little tit for tat when really we do want it, but we're trying to be nice to the other person and hope that they will eat it so we don't have to eat it. And that's a little bit of a disillusion, because if you want it, just have it, and if you don't, you don't. And if you want to share it, that's fantastic. Just be mindful of what you're actually doing when you're out with friends at a social situation. So again, really what happens when we resort to emotional eating has nothing to do with hunger. It's completely emotional. It's triggered. It triggers chemicals in our brain, which then is fed to our body. Our stomach has got nothing to do with it because there are no hunger mechanisms being triggered, and we overeat. So be careful, be mindful of it when you're out in social situations. It's very easy to have the second, third, and fourth glass of wine, a bit of bread here, extra dip there, extra chips and nuts, extra mouthful of dessert. By the time you've gone home, easily 2,000 calories could have been consumed. In fact, the average is about 2,500 to 5,000, which is 3 times the amount of food in a day that you would ever need. So be mindful. Hey, this picture says it all. Emotional eating versus physical eating. Now, I'm not saying don't have a donut if that's your thing, and I'm not saying have scrambled eggs or, bacon or chicken or some chips. I'm not saying don't have it. I'm not going to tell you what to do. It certainly isn't the best choice, but, I've been given to some chips here and there. I just don't need a whole bag full. And you might say, well, what a waste of chips. Well, perhaps it is and perhaps it isn't. But I can certainly, think, well, if they've got some chips on the plate, I can ask for vegetables or mashed potato, which sometimes is still covered with more butter than chips, or I can choose to have a few chips and leave the rest. I don't have to have what is on my plate when it's being served to me at a public place. Now, the thing that I want to mention here is that emotional eating is completely triggered by an emotion that's negative or positive in a heightened state of just operating. You really giving into a frenzy almost. Whereas physical eating really is eating about health, nutrition, and performance. Has nothing to do with emotions whatsoever. And the dilemma on the physical eating, when you follow a very strict diet for performance or nutrition or losing weight purposes, it can also create emotional eating triggers because you're too strict. Now, it sounds like you can't get it right on either way. And it is a challenge, but it's a constant evolution and it is a constant process of learning and developing and changing. So for however long you are on this planet, you should be modifying and taking stuff out, putting other stuff into your nutritional regime. My diet or my nutritional eating pattern today is very different to what it was 5, 10, 15, and even 20 years ago. And you say, well, of course, we're older. No, but even as an athlete, there was no way I would have biscuits or lollies or chips or garbage. I just couldn't physically stomach it. And my digestive system could not actually tolerate it. I could be sick for 3 days if I ate rubbish food because my exercise regime was so intense and long and arduous. I needed to eat certain types of foods. And at one point in my life, my diet was actually more than 65% carbohydrates because of the amount of cardio that I used to do and in high intensity training. Now, if I didn't eat carbohydrates literally at every meal, I would be sick. I would suffer quite badly and I could not perform my exercise. It's a very, very vicious cycle. So it really is, physical eating is about finding out what's the best for you right now where you are in your life. It's not about what's going to be good for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 years. Wherever you are now in your life, whatever your goals are, and take into account gender, age, circumstances, life, etc., what is the best way for you to achieve maximum nutrition for maximum performance? Because it's not just about eating to satisfy hunger, it's also to satisfy your psychology around food. You have to enjoy your food. I love food. I absolutely enjoy food. And people that know me, I'm not a huge eater, but I love good food. Can you hear even the word that I'm choosing? I love good food. I didn't say I like good food. I love good food because my body is important to me and I'm not going to feed it this garbage on the picture right now because I know the consequence of this. Apart from cholesterol and diabetes, it's just also digestive issues, the sluggishness, the fatigue, the migraines, the addictions, the cravings, the metabolism issues that can arise from resorting to this sort of thing. So be mindful when you're out and about at social events and be mindful about what you're eating for performance and nutritional reasons. You've got to really examine this because too many people are resorting to Facebook pages, to diets, to Google, to some guru out there with the latest, gadget. And I'm not saying they're not good. What I'm saying is examine it. Examine it because there is no one way to exercise and eat. Absolutely not. There's one way that's right for you. Okay, so this is perhaps a better example of what we should be consuming because it has lots of vitamins, lots of minerals, antioxidants, calcium, proteins for our body. Now, there's no meat on there, or is there? No, there's no meat. And that's not because I deliberately avoided meat. I just think it's a very colorful picture. Omega-3 fatty acids and lots of, even the calciums of the cheeses. So if you do like meat, great. Fantastic. I just thought this picture was very colorful and there's legumes down the bottom like the chickpeas, red beans, lentils, and pistachio nuts on the left at the bottom. Now, I'm from Spain. My family is from Spain, so our diet is very much about vegetables, legumes, fish, and nuts. We don't consume a lot of red meat or white meat, but our diet is very much about fruits, vegetables, nuts, and legumes, which is awesome. Absolutely awesome. So for me, that's, I do like meat, but I don't have a lot of it, but what I do when I do have meat, I try and get the best possible cut and really enjoy the meat because I do need it and my muscles do need it. So lots of variety there. There's bread at the back there, so you might say, well, gee, that's bread. Well, yeah, for sure. I'm not saying this whole paleo or don't have paleo, eat paleo, and then there's this new thing out there which is a combination of paleo and not paleo. It's all too confusing. They're all they serve a purpose, these nutritional recommendations out there, but you've got to use the common sense and what applies to you. So yeah, for sure, if you do like bread, find a bread that's healthy, organic, wholesome, full of fiber that you can really enjoy. And I'm sorry, white bread just doesn't cut it. It has a lot more refined carbohydrates, a lot more chemicals, including bleach to get the bread to look white. You know that, I know that, we've known it. You need to make better choices. So look at what's in the packaging, look what's in the food. You don't need to go too far with fruits and vegetables, but if you do like bread, choose a really top option. We don't eat a lot of bread in my home, but I do try and buy really good bread when I have it, or at least maybe freeze it if it's a big loaf or something, because I don't eat a lot of bread, but I do enjoy a piece of bread with some avocado and some chicken or cheese or salad or something. So yep, there are lots of options there. Okay, so the cycle of emotional eating. If we look at the very top circle there, the circle says a stress or a trigger. Now, it could be a stress, work stress, personal stress, family stress, even traffic stress. It could be a trigger. You've had an argument, a bad day, something, so forth and so forth. You reach for comfort food. You're in a frenzy, obsession, and a state of heightened anxiety. And if you remember my early webinars, you will recall that I spoke about anxiety as a trigger when stuff happens, or a trigger that's happening and it's buried really deep. Now, it releases chemicals which release the feel-good hormone like dopamine, and that's released into your body at a very fast pace. You can't even keep up with the pace of that chemical release. It's actually the brain at a neuro level, and it goes into your body your brain releases it and it's filtered through to your body. You temporarily feel better. It's like a big sigh of relief. And without fail, straight after, guilt, shame, and anger, and disappointment, rejection, and it just goes back to the stress of the trigger. Because by the time you get to guilt, shame, and anger, this is a common thing that is said. I will never do that again. I promised myself I won't do it again. Why did I do that? This will never happen again. And we are already setting ourselves up for failure when we use this cycle of abusive emotional eating. Now, look at that very simple diagram, and I'm very confident that everyone on this webinar and everyone around the planet will have at some stage fallen prey to this. No matter how good or how disciplined we are, we will give into something. And that doesn't mean it's a failure. You just need to get back up and keep going forward, because you can't do anything about it. Once you've given in to whatever it is, it's happened. And the guilt and the shame and anger is what you have left to deal with. And perhaps really the most important part of this diagram is, what is the stress and what is the trigger? Why are you allowing X to affect you in such a way that you give into emotional eating? Okay, so really have a little check-in with yourself, and it may be different things at different times, and it usually is. But for sure, there's our triggers and stresses around us. I mean, getting home sometimes these days in traffic is a challenge. And by the time you get home, you've had 4 near-miss accidents, red lights, people cutting you off. It's very, very stressful. Absolutely. But it's not an excuse to keep giving in to emotional eating. All right, this is an awesome little picture. I've had this for years, and I think it's awesome because it's very, very simple. Physical hunger on the left tends to come on gradually and can be postponed. Emotional hunger, it's a sudden frenzy, obsession, have to have it now. Physical hunger, it's satisfied with a number of different things. Okay, now that doesn't mean that you know anything will do, but you generally will be able to use common sense, logic, and objective process to decide what to eat. You might say, you know, I really feel like a sandwich. Go out and have a look at what kind of a sandwich. I really feel like some noodles. And you go out and have some noodles. The thing is, it's a variety of different things around you that you can control. Whereas with emotional hunger, it's very specific. You want pizza or ice cream or chocolates or chips or nuts or chocolate-coated peanuts. It's another one that's very, very popular with emotional hunger. And you've got to have it. You've got to have it now. And you're eating it at the pace of, you know, a roadrunner. It's an uncontrolled frenzy. And your mind and your body is racing very fast. Physical hunger, once you're full, you stop eating. You know what? I really have had enough noodles. I'll take the rest home. I don't want this sandwich. Look, I've bought a sandwich and sometimes it's only been salad or avocado and it's been so full that I can't eat it and I just save the rest for afternoon tea or in the fridge for the next day. And you might think, well, it's a sandwich, but it can be a pretty big sandwich. And if I don't want to overeat, I know, hey, I've had enough. I'll leave the rest in the fridge. Emotional hunger, you will always eat more than you need and you will not even count the calories because the calories at that point just don't matter. It's irrelevant until you get to the anger, resentment, guilt and shame part of the cycle of abuse. Physical hunger does not cause feelings of guilt, but of course emotional hunger does. Guilt, anger, shame, resentment and failure. Surviving emotional eating. Here are some tips that I want to give to you about how you can reflect on improving emotional eating. I am not saying that I want you to look at it as a complete cutoff. Maybe that's not where you are, and you know, a large percentage of the population will never get there, but we can definitely have more discipline. So tip number 1, explore why you are giving into emotional eating. What are some of the reasons? Are you lonely? Are you sad? Are you stressed? Do you feel that you're bored? Are you fatigued? You're not getting enough sleep? What are some of the reasons and possibilities why you're giving into emotional eating? Explore them. There's nothing to be ashamed of if that's happening, but you do have a responsibility to understand why. It may have happened or happening more than you want to. You have a responsibility and to be accountable to yourself to explore the reasons why. And from understanding, you can look at ways to do other things instead of giving into emotional eating. Okay, the number 2 on this printout, on this presentation, is write down triggered emotions. I love journaling, I love writing and researching and exploring, but I do think sometimes when you are triggered by certain things, writing those emotions down can help to get it from your mind to in front of your eyes and seeing really what's going on. And not just sort of going, oh, I ate chips because I was tired. No, I ate a whole packet of chips because I was tired, because I didn't get enough sleep, because I was worried or sad or mad or whatever. So don't just go, oh, I ate chips, I was tired. That's it. No, 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 no. I ate chips and I was tired and I don't feel happy. That's it. No. What's really, really going on? I ate chips because I had a bad day at work, because someone was this, or traffic, or you know what, and when I got home I couldn't stop thinking about it, and so I ate chips. Has this happened before? Yes, it has, and I felt really horrible afterwards. Hey, that's what you want to be doing. You want to be checking in with your emotions, because emotions are telling you something. Okay, even the negative emotions are telling you something. Okay, Cool. Pause and take 5 minutes. I did this once actually, and I remember it was quite a little good exercise, and after I had a bit of a giggle about it, I took out something. I can't remember what it was. Let's just say it was ice cream. I was very emotional. I put the ice cream down and I stopped. And then I looked at it and I had a little chit chat in my own mind, and several minutes went by, and then I had a giggle. I thought, really? Really? I'm going to give in to ice cream because of that? And oh no, I've had a little chat, I've looked at it, I've paused, I've taken 5, I'm going to put it back into the fridge or freezer or whatever it was. And I didn't give in to emotional eating. Now that's one example. Maybe you just go, I'm going to take out the chips and leave them on the bench and go and, open some windows, walk outside, do some household chores, or just go for a walk outside. And when I get back, if I really still feel like I want those chips, okay, cool. But more often than not, you will come back and you will not feel like those chips, because rational thinking, logic, and process has now been triggered in your brain. That chemical frenzy of need to eat has subsided, and you will think very much on a logical, objective way. So it does work. Does it work all the time? Hey, you have to keep doing it. That's the thing here. If you try 10 times and you only get 5, you've had 5 more successes than 10 failures. So don't look at it as 5 failures, look at it as 5 more successes. Are you stressed? Too many people are stressed, including me. I have a very busy workload and I love what I do, but I can tell you there are times when I could just want to tear my hair out. And that's not an excuse for me to go into emotional eating. It is a responsibility for me to take time out. Why am I stressed? What's really going on? Am I getting enough rest, sleep, food, etc.? And sometimes, hey, it just doesn't happen, but more often than not, I try to aim to manage my stress so that I remain productive and positive. Okay, stress and cortisol. Now, this is a very important subject, a biggie, and I do have some notes I want to go through. So if you hear a little bit of flick of paper, that will be me going to my notes, and not 33 pages of it, but a few pages nonetheless. Okay, stress is really, really, really damaging on our body, of course, as we know. But what it also does is it releases a hormone called cortisol. Now, you probably would have heard it at some point or read about it. Now, this hormone, what it does, it reacts in a fight or flight. It gets us ready to stand and fight for our life, or it gets us ready to flight, to run away. Now, that cortisol level is a heightened state of anxiety. The problem is that if we continue to stay in stressful situations month after year, what it starts to do is not only affect us in the way where we don't we don't eat properly, but it affects us at a very cellular level. And the first way that it does affect us is our metabolism. You've heard the saying, I've tried everything, but I just can't seem to lose the weight. Now, there are a lot of reasons why, but stubborn fat definitely is. And if you do feel that you're not successful in losing weight or keeping weight off, have a look at your stress. It could be a possibility, but what it does when we're in a heightened state of stress and cortisol is released, it slows our metabolism to keep us alive, because our body thinks it's under attack. So it will fight to keep us alive because it still thinks it's fighting a dinosaur. So it will also create cravings, sugar cravings, or cravings for food, not necessarily sugar, but cravings for food, more food and different foods that you would not normally have. So generally it's more fatty or salty or sugary foods, but for sure you will get cravings. Blood sugars can go up, they can go down. They cause mood swings, fatigue, and obviously conditions like hypoglycemia, which, too much stress can have blood sugar issues leading to diabetes type 2. And don't you think that stress can't affect diabetes, because it definitely can. Fat storage. When our stress goes up and our cortisol goes up, your body will change at a cellular level how it redistributes the fat and where it stores the fat. It will store the fat because it thinks it has to survive in famine, because there's not enough food out there and the dinosaurs are going to come and get you. So fat storage, trust me, it will stay on you like someone's glued it to you. And of course, emotional eating, you'll give in to more cravings and more stresses because you are stressed. Exercise decreases because you're not paying attention to what you need, because you're stressed, your cortisol levels are up, and you don't want to exercise. Because why should you exercise? You've just had a whole packet of biscuits, you don't really feel good. Why should I go to the gym? It doesn't matter. It's no point. It's just useless. It's a waste of time. It never works anyway. So exercise goes out the window and you resort to a cycle of emotional eating abuse. So stress and cortisol, dangerous, dangerous stuff. You've really got to stop the madness because it really is madness. It's not a question of just eating for health reasons. It's also for your life. When your levels of cortisol and stress are up, the ability to think and process cognitively or with rational thinking decreases. Your thyroid goes crazy. Bone density is affected, decrease in muscle tissue and the capacity to actually produce a better performance in your workout. Your blood pressure goes up. We know that. We know that. We know that. And I can tell you that immunity goes out the window. Now, I've suffered from chronic fatigue syndrome, and if you have ever been tired, then I can tell you the chronic fatigue syndrome is a whole new level. I fought it naturally, but it's kind of a little bit like a gene that stays in your body. You really still got to be careful because you cannot allow yourself to be stressed to the point where you are literally killing yourself from the stress. So chronic fatigue is one, and chronic fatigue syndrome, of course, is the medical condition, and it definitely is a metabolic syndrome issue. So please, 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 you've really got to think about what is going to be good for you. It's not just about eating the oats and the wheat germ and all those things that are out there. It's also about what is the best that's going to be for me right now with my goals. Alrighty, I know you can do it and it is possible, but here's the thing I want to remind you, that don't feel that you have to do it all alone. Go out and get a trainer or a nutritionist or someone that you feel confident. Contact me for a conversation and we'll have a general conversation about how I can help you. It is possible, but you've got to be prepared to do the work. Alrighty, hormones and happy times. I love all things hormone, and hormones for me are a very important subject because understanding how they work, particularly in performance-based exercise, is really, really, really important. So let's talk about dopamine, the happy drug. It keeps you alert. It's kind of like a natural caffeine effect. When you have a caffeine, you're a bit buzzed up. It provides a sense of satisfaction. It also drives your assertiveness level. It actually converts another chemical called norepinephrine, which it's literally like a drug. It just keeps you feeling energized longer. So a deficiency in dopamine can lead to cravings and sweets and fatty foods, as well as stimulants for other things that aren't very healthy. So dopamine is in foods. You've just got to find the foods that you like that have that healthy hormone in it. Okay, glutamine. Glutamine is actually also used in performance-based products like protein powders and powders. I do have glutamine as a powder. It's an organic compound. I don't take it often because you can't be taking that stuff all the time, every day, overdosing it. But I do have glutamine for a performance factor in exercise. But what it also does is actually facilitates good digestion. It increases your alertness, brain fuel, and it really does play a role in performance and brain activity. So these are very important hormones to consider when you're looking at eating for nutritional performance, or just eating for health reasons. Okay, serotonin, of course, that we know that antidepressants, one of the intentions of antidepressants is to stimulate serotonin so people stay happy and healthy and they don't do damaging and bad things to themselves. But it is another chemical, and it does help keep your mood stabilized. It's kind of like a natural Prozac, so it does help to keep us calm and promote sleep and reduce the cravings of sugars and fatty foods. Endorphin. Now, endorphin, we know I'm an exercise person, so I need endorphin. Endorphins are kind of like, yeah, come on, let's get up and go and lift the weight and pump. It's a runner's high, so if you are a runner or have ever been into running, it is definitely a runner's high. I've been in running at times when I've hit the wall and I haven't felt I could do any more, and they've pushed just a little bit more, and honestly, I just then not only outperform the hitting the wall, but I overperform and I overdo it. So endorphin has awesome benefits, but it can also suppress pain. It can also become quite addictive because you get used to that kind of high. It's also a bit of a pleasure pleasure hormone. So, but it definitely is a hormone that we want to, and we have it. We've just got to keep feeding our body with lots of good stuff from the external to feed our brain so it releases endorphin. Now, oh, I've got a nurturing up there at the bottom, ignore that. Now, GABA, G-A-B-A. Now, it is a chemical, and I guess if I were to compare it to something like Valium, it's a little bit like a feeling of relaxation. It's a little bit of like feeling calm, feeling together. And some people really do have conditions where they are low in GABA, like a low thyroid condition, for example, and there are supplements out there to increase the GABA. So it's found in amino acids and vitamins and minerals, and which of course you can get from food. So these are some of the very common hormones. Well, perhaps GABA is a little bit new to you, but definitely dopamine, glutamine, serotonin, and endorphin. Now, you know, these are very important things for you to consider because, yeah, and it's definitely a challenge trying to achieve a balance of all of it. I do, you know, take glutamine when I train. Serotonin is in foods, which we can, you know, definitely intake through nutrition. Endorphin is a high, but if you're not feeling too good, you're not going to have a lot of endorphin releases. And if you don't eat well, then you won't get endorphins, which means you don't perform. So it is all linked. Dopamine, you know, we get happy having a piece of chocolate, but of course that good feeling vibe doesn't last very long. So got to look at what you're eating to release the right hormones into your body. And it's not just the food, it's also your environment and your lifestyle. You may be eating really well, but if you've got a very poor lifestyle and you're constantly stressed, it's really catch-22. You're just sort of, you know, only doing half of the job, so to speak. And don't use the excuse that I'm so busy that I haven't got time. I'm really sorry. I'm super busy and I'm always time poor, but, you know, I do the very best that I can. And people that have known me or know me, you know, I've been busy a lot of my life in what I do, and I love what I do, but I'm certainly better at it, and I don't use that as an excuse anymore because I'm in control of my 24 hours a day. And if that means I have to change something for my lifestyle to be happier and healthier, that's just the way it's going to be. And you need to apply that approach as well. Cool. I want to give you some tips on how to have friendship with food. Yes, indeed. I love food. I think food is awesome. We need to be enjoying our food because if we're not enjoying our food, well, you know, what the hell are we doing? Okay, so I've got 11 tips on my spreadsheet here in front of me, but I'm only going to cover a few. The first one is mindful eating. This is a new little trend out there about mindful eating, where people sit down and eat slowly and enjoy every mouthful. And apparently it's become a bit of a fashion thing now around culinary environments. What a lot of rubbish. We should be eating mindfully most of the time. Sometimes you got to eat on the go or eat on the run, but hey, you need to be mindful about what you are actually eating. Sit down, chew the food, breathe the food, put your fork down, put your spoon down, put your glass down. Be aware of what you're eating, when you're eating, and how you are eating it. Okay, don't just stick it in your mouth and go, well, I'm in a hurry, and maybe that's a few times, but not an excuse all the time. Chew your food, sit down, breathe, and enjoy the food. Cool. Okay, so you've got that pretty clear. And gratitude is everything. You know, let's be grateful. It takes money to buy food that someone's planted in a field, and someone's had to work for it. And big corporations now pushing out the little people, and I think that's pretty bad. But I'm very, very grateful for what I have in my house because I've gone and worked for it. But not only that, I have freedom to choose and buy and to eat what I want. And you might say, well, that's a little bit kind of all new age stuff. Well, no, it's not. Being grateful for what you have is important. It's an energy, it's a karma, it's a connection, it's a consciousness and awareness that, we throw food away too much sometimes. We're not conscious of what we're doing. And I try to be very conscious. Sometimes it's just not possible. We forget stuff's in the fridge. But I definitely am very grateful for what I have. And that makes me become more conscious that, hey, don't take it for granted. The all or nothing. Oh my goodness. Well, I've had ice cream, a mouthful of ice cream, so I'm just going to go for the whole thing, or I'm just not going to have any ice cream at all. No, that's really a very debilitating and abusive cycle right there. Okay, you've had a mouthful of ice cream or half a cake or whatever. That doesn't give you a license to A, have the rest, or B, completely abstain for it. Neither one is balanced. So if, for example, you're a chocolate eater and you really have difficulty controlling the amount of chocolate you have, then choose an amount of chocolate, put the rest away or share it, and try that approach as one example of what you can do. So you say, well, that doesn't work all the time. No, but you know what? If you don't start to do something different, you're not going to get a different result. And then you're going to whinge about the same thing you did the last time that you promised yourself you wouldn't do. So all or nothing never works. And I know people, they go, well, I'm just not going to buy chips for my house because I will eat it. Okay, cool. If that means you don't buy chips, you don't buy chips. But what if you're in a public place and they have chips? I mean, you either don't eat the chips or you overeat the chips. Or you find a way to go, you know what? I'm going to choose something else to eat instead of the chips. And perfectly imperfect. You just cannot be perfect in all of this. You simply won't. And you do need to accept that. And yes, we will fall it sometimes. And, maybe in a week, around Christmas, it feels like we try, but, people are out there to sabotage us. But, we really have to think we are perfect and we're doing the very best that we can. So keep calm because you are perfect the way you are. And you can have you can choose how to change this. It's a little change every day that makes a big difference at the end, okay? A little change every day that makes a big difference at the end. So a few more tips here. Stop comparing. I have had this happen to me and I am downright absolutely not one to tolerate it. I've had great people comparing me to what they eat and what they do and why should I do this and and you shouldn't be and who do you think you are, and like, don't do that. If you do that, you need to stop it. And if you don't do it, fantastic. And if you're around people that do it to you, you need to speak up. And if they don't respect your boundaries, you need to choose a very harsh decision, because I refuse to be in the company of people that criticize my choices. Now, they may say, hey, why are you doing that? I'm not sure why you're choosing that instead of this. And that's different. That's a conversation. But when people deliberately criticize you or you criticize others, you need to stop it. We don't know what others need or why others do what they do. You can only be responsible for you. They have their own complex body mechanisms, and your relationship with food is your responsibility. What they do, right, wrong, good or bad, is none of your business. And the same with you. You shouldn't be comparing, judging or criticizing others for their choices. It's none of your business. And stop being difficult with food. Look, I'll tell you what, there are some things that I see out there around food at restaurants, and I just roll my eyes in the back of my head, ordering things and having one mouthful and leaving it, and then another time ordering something and they have one mouthful of it and they leave it. That's not only selfish, it's just downright ridiculously stupid. If you don't want, if you may have a preference for food, cool, then that's fine. I do have a preference of how I have my food when I'm eating out, but I don't have to be obnoxious and I don't have to be difficult about it. And I've seen people order things that are, honest to goodness, I just feel sorry for the waiters because they're just downright difficult. I don't want salt and I don't want butter and I don't want this and bring in this and bring it like that. Why would you bother going out? You might as well stay at home and eat your bowl of salad without any dressing. Try to be reasonable and a little bit pleasant to deal with. Now, I've been with people and they eat white rice at Asian restaurants, and that's cool. I do like white rice, and white rice does have a purpose in the release of insulin in exercise performance. But hey, if I don't want rice, I don't want rice. And I don't want to be given a hard time over rice. But I've seen some people measure the rice, have a separate bowl for the sauce, or not have the rice and pick out things from their food, or have the rice and have a separate plate for the food. I mean, the particularness of what goes on out there makes me cringe about why you bother going out to be obnoxious and unbearable. Be pleasant around food. Choose your options. Definitely do what is right for you, but be good company. And really, more importantly, is what's really going on with you. Why are you, and I say you, and not that I know your specific circumstance, but why are you having difficulty with food? And what is your relationship with food? What does it trigger for you? And why do you resort to emotional eating or any of the things that I've mentioned here? What's really going on at a deeper level that's preventing you from living a fulfilling and satisfying life? And as I said, I had chronic fatigue syndrome many years ago, and it was debilitating, and I had to change the way I ate. In fact, I had to change the way I lived. And I can tell you that food was not my friend. I had to do things in relation to a nutrition program that I didn't like some of the stuff I had to take, but I needed to for medical and for nutritional purposes. But it also had to do with what was really going on in my life. What stresses was I involved in that were killing me? And I can tell you, it is killing you. So what are you really thinking about? What are you triggered about? And what are you stressed about that you're not acknowledging and that you're not dealing with? Now, I want to thank everyone that's been on the webinar, and of course thank the people that the artists and the various people that I've put into the webinar. This is a very short presentation, but I've deliberately not gone too long, but I wanted to present specific information to get you thinking about what it is that you're doing around food and the why. I'm always interested in the why. Friendship with food. You really only have one body and one life. You've got to respect your body really as a temple. And I can tell you, when I used to train 2, 3, and 4 hours a day and teach, I didn't treat my body as a temple. I really treated it like worse than a dog, worse than a house pet. I punished my body with extreme rigidity of eating and training. Sure, it was performance, it was competition, but you can't live like that. And you've got to respect that your body is borrowed. You're here for a borrowed time. Look after your body because you need to. I look after my body, and my body is very important. And when I have periods where it's not working for me, I stop, I get off the merry-go-round, and I address where and what I need to change, period. And this week alone, I went out and bought a few different things at the supermarket to change what I'm doing now to improve my own personal well-being even better. So this is a process that I advocate and I live by. Now, what are you waiting for? I haven't changed Zena because that picture says it all. You really have no excuses not to investigate how to change your lifestyle for improvement. So my contact details are there, my phone number, email, and Facebook, etc. So if you haven't written them down, they are there right now. And I do invite people to have a free discussion about anything that they would like to chat about. I love to talk to people, so do call me. I love conversations. Contact details again, and I do love to share information. So if you, and this week alone, a couple of articles went out on the newsletter, which I do hope you've received. And if you haven't, please let me know. And I'd love to help you. So if there's something that is particular to your circumstance, call me and let's have a conversation. And that's my beautiful, amazing, amazing, amazing daughter, the joy of my life. And she's way taller than me, but she's just a stunning beauty. And I wanted to put that picture of her there. I'm very, very proud of my absolute gorgeous princess. And this is me. This is me. That was in February, I think, this year. I changed my diet and training program, and I started taking Isagenix supplements. And that was me. I wasn't really being rigid or legalistic, but I definitely was following a specific eating and training program. And I think that was about after 2 and a bit months of training. So there you go. It's possible. I don't look like that right now. I'm being a little bit of a vegetable from that particular style of commitment, but for different reasons. But I can assure you that is going to change very, very soon. I'm up on the way to recreating my body even better than that. So a strategy with me, some of the things that I can cover: mental blocks, a strong mind and body, lifestyle, career, health, and an awesome mind and an awesome life. There is no one way to deal with any situation, but there is always the right way for you. So next week, why exercise is good for the mind and what is good nutrition and supplementation and what exercise is good for me. Now, I am not going to go into specific, well, if you happen to be age 25, female, and this is your lifestyle, this is what you need to be doing. It's just logistically impossible. What I am going to do is give you some recommendations how you can improve your exercise, or just at least look at some exercise options and some nutritional supplementation information for you. So I want to thank you very much for being present with me tonight. I do cover a lot of content in my information on the presentations. I believe in giving you everything that I have. So if you do find a little deep and intense, then it's deliberate, because I want to give you stuff to think about to get you moving forward. So this is Marie Esteban from Creating Extremely Tough Leaders. I want to thank you for your company, and I want to wish you an amazing evening and an amazing week ahead. Thank you and namaste. Take care and yeah, stay awesome, because really it is the best way to be. Bye for now.